Look, look, so sway before I met.
Yes, your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another double spending episode. Today I've got a video that aired on Friday. I was part of a panel, kind of a last minute panel that Phil from Kennedy Finance put together. Myself, Ernie, and RL, and of course Phil from Kennedy Finance hosted the show. Great discussion. I love these types of discussions because these are real discussions. We didn't agree on everything, so I think you guys should really watch this. Some very good concepts thrown around about Bitcoin, where it's going, why it went up. And I was actually shocked to see that the panelists were in agreement with me regarding Lightning Network and how it's not good for Bitcoin. It's a centralized solution for scaling. So again, check out this video. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. And I'll leave a link to Kennedy Finance website, their YouTube channel. Excellent content. They don't get enough attention, and we know how that is. YouTube likes to push nonsense, not the stuff that actually helps you, and for the most part. So again, check out Kennedy Finance. My man Phil over there. Let's get it, people. Holla.
All right, what a day this Friday. I wasn't planning on doing a show, but you got to do a show when Bitcoin is up like what, $1,000. We'll go here to the Coinigy screen just so everybody can see it. On the heels of listening to a Peter Schiff episode talking about how Bitcoin is done, it's over. That's when the pump began. So Peter being another contrarian indicator of things to come in the crypto space. We've got quite a lineup today. Crypto Blood, lower right. Trader of Futures, Ernie V, top right. RL in the top left. CB, we'll go right to you. What do you think of today's pump?
Just I'm now known as Crypto Ernie.
Crypto Ernie. Got it. Yeah, and I'm going to put all those links in the description box once we're done.
So you gave us a disclaimer. We can't beat up on each other on the show, but can we beat up on Peter Schiff today, man? Can we do that? he's yet again wrong for the umpteenth time. I don't know how many times now. But anyway, yeah, man, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. All three of you have been on the show in recent weeks anyway. We had Ernie and RL on just last night or 2 nights ago. I didn't expect to have you guys back on so quickly, but when there's news like this, we got to get together and talk about it. Luckily, I think we all have slightly diverse opinions on what's taking place here. So that's why it's good to put our heads together. A lot of people have been wrecked in the last 18 months, and we don't want to see that happen again. So right. CB, why don't we start with you? Where do you see things playing out right now?
That was for sure the bottom in our next cycle. I called bottom at 3,000, and I was firm on that. I'm calling bottom at 7,400. I'm firm on that. I just basically, it was an inverted Bart Simpson that happened a little bit quicker than I thought would, but I knew, or I would say about 98% sure that we would have this move up. I don't know if you can see my screen. Let me see if I can share it really quickly. But can you see that?
Yeah, it's tiny, but we can see it.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, this is, the move or the pattern I had drawn. And so we've essentially broken through the downward trend line that I had there, and 83.54 was really a technical area that we needed to get past. And so that has been both of those broken in a couple of hours here. So classic short squeeze and long FOMO going on here. And I think we'll be off to the races to go for 9,400 at this point now. So 83 should be a floor support for us, and I think 74 was a bottom for sure in the next cycle.
All right, Ernie, your turn. What's going on?
All right, so the pump was the result of a news story that came out that President Xi of China declared that China is now going to take the lead in development of Bitcoin or blockchain, which I think is laughable, considering that they are the single most oppressive nation on the face of the planet. And to think that Bitcoin, which represents freedom, it will be in the hands of the Chinese is laughable. I think that this pump is short-lived it will. I don't think that I would never call a top or a bottom in any event, but we did call this particular move yesterday, and I don't know if you have that chart,
Yep, I
Phil.
got it. Oop, hold on 1 second. Let me go to the next one. There it is. All right, what's this chart mean, Ernie?
Okay, so you can see where the entry is at 77.07. Previous to that, we were showing a short. These are all calls that are generated by our pattern recognition AI, and so it had called this long. Now we didn't expect it to go quite as high as it did, but that's okay. We take overshoots, but you can see that we were predicting this long from that move. The system itself, all it does is go back and look at historical patterns and builds up a statistical case. And when it recognizes a pattern, it tells us about it, and then we kind of interpret it and put the signals out for our customers. But you can see that it's pretty darn good. We're about a little over 95%, now 96% hit rate on our calls since we introduced this to Bitcoin. We've been doing it for about a year on futures and forex in traditional markets, but only since the summertime for Bitcoin, and it's been going fantastic. It's like having a crystal ball. But I used to be a big proponent of technical analysis many years ago. I am not anymore. Just a little background: I've been involved in the development of automated strategies for big hedge funds, prop firms, and also banks or investment houses. And I've looked at just about every possible technical analytical indicator that you can imagine, and done studies on them. And in my view, they're nothing more than a coin flip. They're good tools if you have an intuitive sense in the market and you have experience, but there's nothing prescriptive about technical analysis that you can actually codify and make work on a consistent basis. That's my opinion.
Wow, that's a big one. Yeah, I definitely
by 10 years of
No.
hard evidence and development with the richest people on the face of the planet.
All right, we'll give CB a chance
Wow.
to respond to that, but we got to hear from RL first. So RL, your reaction to CB and EV?
I tend to agree a little bit more with CB here. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
EC Ernie Crypto or Crypto Ernie. I'm sorry about that. But I have to say that I think that I agree with CB here. I think this was the bottom, and I kind of made a declaration the other night that this is definitely a bull market, and we'll see. In my opinion, not financial advice as always, but in the next 6 months, we're going to see a new all-time high in Bitcoin. Now, whether or not we're pumping on the price for the news out of China with Z or not, there's really no way to show causation for sure or whatever, and that's just it's all. But I tend to agree that probably had something to do with the price going up today. But I actually take a little bit of a different view on that as well, because I think that game theory, we want the United States to be full in on crypto, and that what better way to tip their hand or whatever than getting China involved. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's actually a good thing that and if you look at the mining, where the majority of mining is coming from, like 50% is coming from one province in China. I think it's Sichuan or whatever. So it's not like this is like new news that the Chinese are interested in blockchain. They've just, I think they've probably been stacking a lot of Bitcoin behind the scenes for a while now. So, but yeah, I think this is the next leg up in what should be a pretty hot winter for the Bitcoin. I actually think we'll probably see another alt season too. So I'm as bullish as I was 2 days ago.
CB, you're chomping at the bit. Your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely disagree with Ernie there regarding technical analysis. I've been technically trading for 13 years now, and he's right about one part: indicators. You don't need any. That's the problem. Most pro traders don't use indicators. Support and resistance, Fibonacci, maybe, if you want to call that on the chart indicator, but support and resistance and trend lines. That's all you need. So yeah, that's where I am with it. It definitely was. I think a catalyst was the news from China today, for sure. But this pattern was going to happen. It just needed a reason for it to happen. That's kind of what technical analysis looks for. It looks for a reason to make that technical pattern, form. So that's what happened, in my opinion. We were, I build algos as well. Been doing that for about 7 years now in FX, 3 years, 2 years now in cryptos, and we caught both down and up on that move. So I'm happy here with Bitcoin and Ethereum trades right now, about 50% returns in the last week or so.
Ernie, what do you say?
Well, I'm not going to argue it. The technical analysis point. It's what I'm saying is just based out of dozens of years of research. And you're right that most technical or professional traders do not use technical analysis or the indicators or anything like that. Most of them do exactly what they've been doing since the turn of the century, back in the 1800s, early 1900s, and that's use order flow and volume.
Hmm.
So when you're talking
Hmm.
about trend lines and levels of support and resistance, they're not borne out by the lines that you draw in a chart. They are the direct result of supply and demand, and where there's interest and there isn't interest, and you can see all of that in the volume profile. So when you look at the edges or the value nodes of a volume profile, they do in fact show you exactly where support and resistance are, because those are the edges of where people find value and don't find value.
Right.
And so I agree that you can do trading without any indicators at all. All you need is, and quite frankly, you don't even need the price chart, although it helps a little bit. You can use volume profile by itself, and it will tell you everything that you need to know. Of course, there are patterns that exist in the charts themselves that can be used as derivatives and do have some statistical evidence that showing human behavior that does repeat itself. But some of the major patterns, even now, most of them, people take them out of context. They don't understand the context of them, and they see a pattern and they think it's going to do X because people told them it was going to do X, when in fact maybe the contextual part is all wrong, or they read the pattern wrong. And most patterns, from that point of view, are nothing more than a coin flip.
RL.
Yeah, I'm not a day-to-day trader like these guys. I feel like they trade more than me, but just looking at I'm just looking at the big picture here and the history. Ernie's talking about his history in the traditional market and the crypto market, and I'm just looking. I like to look at the big picture, and I think that this is I agree with CB. This is definitely the second leg up on this, and I think we could be right where we were this bull market cycle back to 14K here in the next couple of weeks. Even, I mean, we're up 14% at one point today. If that's not a bull market, we're still up. What is that now? What's the price today? We got 8,500. We're almost back up to 300% for the last 8 or 9 months now. So I think that's a pretty good indication that we're going to head up even higher.
Yeah, we got less than two. Well, no, we're sitting at 201 days till the halving. I think that's a big deal. I certainly wasn't selling at 7,500 with only 200 days to go. Another thing that I like to mention is I don't think we should compare Bitcoin to an investment. We should compare it more to the adoption curve of any kind of technology. And if you look at it logarithmically, I think that makes more sense. And from my standpoint, I'm not a technical analyst, but I look at this from a long term perspective statistically. And many thanks to Trace Mayer, who retweeted one of my tweets. Trace, if you're listening, you're welcome to come on the show. Just DM me. We'll get you in here. No problem. I wrote to him. I said, hey, look, the 24-hour change in Mayer multiple just increased by 0.1. And on my data, that's only happened on 80 of over 2,000 days. So this is definitely a statistical outlier. I'd be looking for a pullback probably in the next 72 hours. We'll see. Any reaction to that, CB?
We may see one, but again, I think 8,300 will be a new level of support for us. Just going off price action from previous weeks that I've been watching. And so, yeah, I think we may see a pullback, but 7,400 is surely the bottom, in my opinion. About a 98% confidence there, and 80, 83, 8,500 should be the next level. So I would say I'm about 50 to 60% comfortable saying that that's a new support area for us.
What about you, Ernie? Are you as confident?
No, I have no idea which way the market's going to go. I look at this currently as a something. Now, we felt that that Bitcoin was going to go up by evidence of our call that we made yesterday, and we thought it was going to go up very strong based on whatever pattern that was found by the system. But I think that there was also an opportunistic move here where whales grabbed a hold of. I think they already planned to push things up, and then that combined with President Xi coming out and making his pronouncement was an easy thing to create a lot of excitement in the industry. But to think that the average retail trader had anything to do with this price rise is crazy. This is 100% a pump by the whales. Now that doesn't mean we can't all take advantage of it. I think that's, it's a good thing that we can all sit here and do some analysis and try to figure out, when they're most likely to push it up or push it down. But to think that this has anything to do with kind of more ethereal thought of Bitcoin and now it's gaining prominence or whatever, to me that means nothing. I'm just waiting for the next pattern and to see where it's most likely to move based on historical precedent.
RL, if we're indeed in a bull market like you and I think we are, do any of these daily or weekly moves even matter?
Not to me. I think, like we said the other night, you should be cost averaging into the market every opportunity you get, especially under 10K, at least, if you anticipate us to go higher in the long run here, which I do. I still think we have about 100 weeks left in this cycle, I would say. So I don't have the exact number of weeks in front of me or anything, but you can figure out these calculations. Just do the math on the previous couple, of these up and downs that we've had in this market, and you can kind of figure out where you should go long run. I mean, if you're not a trader, an everyday trader like you and I are, I think adding to your position under $10,000 anywhere is pretty solid. But the people that stacked up on 7,400 are pretty excited today, because I really agree with CB here. I think that 83 should hold, and we blew right through 7,800. That was resistance up and down a few times recently. So blowing right through that is very bullish to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, real quick look at the chart here. Adding 25 billion in market cap in the last, I don't know, since 10 hours ago. We were at 206. Now we're sitting at 231. A sign of the beast on Bitcoin dominance. That's a little concerning if you believe in that stuff. But yeah, I think we will see alts as a beneficiary. Maybe not immediately, but down the road. What's your reaction, CB?
Yeah, alts will benefit just from pure speculation, from pure speculative play. You'll see funds roll out of Bitcoin into the alts. I think it'll be more selective this go around. I don't think it'll be as broad as it was in 2017. So, but yes, you will definitely see a rollover into the alts. At what time, what position, I don't know. Normally, Litecoin, I can say this because I've been trading in cryptos for 7 years now. Litecoin is usually a lagger in the sense of a lot of the group of altcoins for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it normally is a lagger. So maybe select some of the other ones before Litecoin actually moves up with it.
Ernie, I think you had some disparaging words for the alts the other night.
Yeah, so I'm going to be the black sheep of this group here and say that I believe that alts are going to continue to go down. They have to go down. They have to go to zero, most of them. There may be a few projects out there that have worthwhile intent and real value-based investment in it. But I would say 96 to 97% of them are total frauds, and they need to go. Otherwise, the altcoin market will never go anywhere. I think that Bitcoin will continue its dominance, and from my point of view, there isn't anything that can take over Bitcoin. I want to make it perfectly clear. I'm not like a bear here, because it seems like people are pegging me as kind of a bear. I'm calling it long. I want it to go to 1 million, for Christ's sake, but I'm not a believer either. So, but I think that Bitcoin right now is the only legitimate cryptocurrency out there.
RL, I think you probably disagree.
Yeah, I think there's a handful that have utility right now.
I said that.
Yeah, you did. We agreed on that the other night. You said that there's probably, I think you just said 5% or something. I tend to agree. You know, whatever the percentage is, I'm not sure, but there's probably 15 to 20 that'll have utility in the end. Maybe half of those don't even exist yet, and they're being built. But I think ultimately for Bitcoin to be valued at $1 million or whatever, you know, I actually think it could get there someday, and I think it's actually pretty probable. I think there have to be 5 to 15, whatever, 20, we'll say top 20 altcoins that help bring the adoption along and get people interested in this space, because not everything can be even built on top of Bitcoin. So we're going to need the Ethereums, the EOS, the smart contract platforms and stuff that, you know, you can build a lot of the infrastructure to just other, you know, the entire blockchain space can't be built on one blockchain. And for many reasons, obviously the technical stuff. But if we're just looking at price, obviously Bitcoin's going to be the king into the future if I had to look at my crystal ball. But I tend to agree that there will be, on basic speculation, I think CB and Ernie both said there will be an alt season probably, but I don't really foresee that until we hit a new all-time high, like a real alt season.
That's very possible. Ariel, I'm gonna have to buy me a Pittsburgh hat, man. You've been spot on today.
I got one for you somewhere. I'll send it over.
Yeah, I think like he's right with that. Like it'll be a delay probably around all-time highs. I think you'll really start to see the alt season start, alt season 2.0, 3.0, whatever you want to call it. There will be a lot of coins that die. I've seen coins die in the past in alt season 1.0. So for sure there will be some that die, or many that die. But I think that as RL said, Bitcoin can't do it all from a technical standpoint. It's just impossible. It doesn't have the bandwidth or throughput to even nearly do anything from a smart contract perspective. So Bitcoin can't even be used in a real world scenario, can't be used to buy coffee on a day-to-day basis. If it scales, you know, we're talking about millions or hundreds of millions of people using this thing. It won't even work then. So you got to look at Bitcoin as a digital asset. That's what it is. And so you'll have room for altcoins to really come in and shine in various ways.
Ernie, your reaction?
Well, I don't think it's going to be altcoins that will rise to take over. Well, that's not necessarily true. I think that there's going to be a different overall infrastructure that may have the best chance of overtaking Bitcoin and becoming the quote world reserve currency, cryptocurrency. And I agree that Bitcoin, from a technical point of view, won't serve the original vision that the founders had with it, to be able to be the everyday currency for all uses. It just maybe as a store of value, or the next digital gold or something like that. I can see that. A lot of people are talking about side chains like Lightning, for instance. And of course, Lightning has recently had its woes. I think somebody just lost $30,000 or plus on the Lightning network
Lightning
just the other
disaster.
day.
Has been for 6 years. I've been watching it for 6 years.
Yeah. And, but see, Lightning is really nothing more than a network of what I would call liquidity hubs. In other words, there is no one particular person that can have enough connections in Lightning to actually make it work without investing or putting up for escrow a huge amount of Bitcoin, and most people don't have that. So you need liquidity hubs to do that. Now, do you know what a liquidity hub is? I'll tell you, it's a bank.
Yep.
All right. So
Yep.
Lightning is nothing more than an
central
infrastructure
banks.
to usher in banks.
Yeah.
And isn't that exactly what we're trying to get away from?
Yep.
I agree. Lightning is
Finally, I agree with you. Finally.
yeah, Lightning completely.
Keep chatting, boys. I'll be right back.
It runs contrary to the trust minimization that is the reason we get into cryptocurrencies. Like you said, it's basically a bank. So I've never been a huge proponent of the Lightning Network. That's why I think these altcoins do have utility if you want to do settlement or whatever, and you actually want to use them as currency and not just a speculative tool or something that you're going to try to hold value in. That's where I think they come in with the Litecoin and the other Bitcoin Cash. I know you can upset people depending on which one you like, but there's a handful that are really good peer-to-peer money.
Yeah, I mean, those are cool as well, but I even think those will end up being looked at as investments because they're inflationary. So any coin that is inflationary ultimately will not be used on day-to-day basis. From, if you look at it percentage wise, very few people percentage wise will use those particular digital assets on day-to-day purchases and brick and mortar e-commerce.
Right.
You're going to see used on a day-to-day what cryptos look like in a mall online is stable coins. That's what will be used on a day-to-day. It's inflationary, unlike Bitcoin and all these other cryptos that are deflationary because they have a fixed amount supply. You'll see people tend to use those stable coins on a day-to-day basis, in my opinion.
So the problem with
Sorry, go ahead.
the problem with Bitcoin is that even though people call it decentralized, it is in fact centralized. It's centralized around miners and developers in China. I mean, when one country can shut it off and basically take down the entire network, that is centralized. The other problem is that Bitcoin doesn't serve all needs, as you said, CB. Its governance model simply does not allow for it to sort of evolve to the varying needs around the globe and around the different types of uses. So there has to be another type of infrastructure. And I personally like Hedera Hashgraph. I think that they have the best governance model. It needs to be kind of a federated republic, very similar to what we have in the United States. We have a representative republic where we have 50 states. They're all independent, but they're all under one umbrella. We need a system like that has governance that is specific, with local governance that is specific to those needs. And I don't necessarily.
Ernie, are you concerned? I like Hedera Hashgraph, its technology part of it, but my concern and my criticism of Hedera is that it's all run by corporate entities. I know they're going to add more, but what is your take on that? Like, do you think that kind of models what we were just talking about as far as the Lightning Network in that type of,
well, first of all, they have a wide cross section of corporate entities, and it will grow over time. And they are constantly switched out over time, so nobody can ever exert any kind of undue influence on the network. And the corporate entities are the people that are managing the economies around the world. And there will be other type of entities, I'm sure, that they're going to bring in that aren't necessarily tied to the biggest corporations. But you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere where you have at least some grease on the skid so you can get going.
No, I like Hedera. Very bright future for that, and I think it's going to take a lot of people by. It's going to sneak up on a lot of Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain people, because it's not a blockchain. It's a hash graph. It's a totally different way of doing.
It's a DAG. It's a kind of a DAG. It's not even a DAG, but it is it's a DAG of DAGs.
Right. So that is the future. That is, if you want to just coin it, blockchain 4.0. I know it's not a blockchain, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, if I can jump in here real quick, since it is KF, I think you got to remember that Viagra itself didn't start out for its ultimate intended purpose. And so I think the same is true for Bitcoin. And one thing that can't easily be replicated is this hash rate. I mean, we've been working on this for over 10 years, And I don't think people are going to easily put their wealth in something that hasn't stood the test of time. And that's really what Bitcoin brings to the table. I got in an argument uh, with a follower of Amanda Johnson the other day, one of Dash's premier contributors. And the follower said something to me, said, hey, it's Bitcoin's high market cap that keeps all the focus on it, which holds back the rest of the market. The sooner the dinosaur is slaughtered, the earlier the smarter, faster mammals can come out to play. I'm no maximalist, RL, but I just don't think that any of us who happen to own Dash, Litecoin, Bcash, you name it, would like the results of seeing a Bitcoin disappear overnight.
No, I mean, Bitcoin is king. It has the first mover advantage. I mean, like you said, it's withstood 10 years of attacks by pretty much everybody, that has a vested interest in it not succeeding, whether it's governments, or just individuals in banking, and I mean, it hasn't been broken. How many people have tried to break Bitcoin? So to say that you want to see it go away, I would say that person needs to watch out. Be careful what you wish for, because it would not look good if the king of crypto just sank.
Yeah, if
No, it
Bitcoin goes,
wouldn't.
I think the whole crypto market goes with it. What do you think, CB?
Absolutely, it does. It goes with it. It will be a huge knee jerk reaction downward to like just wipe out everyone. But of course, once everything settles, then we'll start to reprice in and get things rolling. But it will take some time, man. It'll do a lot of damage to the cryptocurrency industry.
Well, I think that the shot the shot across the bow today was the announcement of China wanting to take a lead role in the development of blockchain. That concerns me greatly. Now, I know that, look, we can't all be a LeBron James, and we shouldn't be a LeBron James and make excuses because that's where all the money is right now. And then at the same time, claim that we're believers in freedom and democracy, and then think that China can bring anything good to blockchain. I'm just sorry, it's just not the case. They are a scourge on everything that is good. Sorry for being so opinionated, but that they are.
You sound like Shaq over there,
I
EV.
wouldn't go that far.
Oh yeah, I would. The people are fine. It's the Politburo. It's the leaders.
Yeah,
They
okay.
are
All right.
tyrants.
Yeah, the leaders. Yeah, I can understand that part where the leaders are definitely doing things in a way that I don't think from a humanitarian perspective is correct. But you have to also look at the other side. I mean, they're leading in technology advancements.
Stolen.
Some of it, definitely some of
Most of it.
60-70% of it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that's the case. If they're taking it, if we're allowing them to take our things and manufacture it over there, who do we blame? We got to blame ourselves. So we put
Right, and do something.
we put the power in their hands, So yeah, I think but back on the subject of them saying that this morning, I don't think that has any relevance to Bitcoin's performance, though mining is centralized in China. If they pull the plug tomorrow on all of those miners, the network will be uh, it will be a very big security risk to the network. However, I think we could quickly kind of reroute hashing power around the globe. I think it wouldn't be catastrophic is what I'm saying, Ernie. I don't think it'll be.
Oh, I didn't say it would be catastrophic, but it would
Yeah.
certainly hurt a lot of people, and it will
Sure.
destroy a lot of lives.
Yeah, it will destroy confidence for sure, but I think we could bounce back from it. So with that being said, them saying they're getting into crypto, I think that just means that they're gonna start and create. They've actually been working on for 3 years now their own cryptocurrency, their own.
I don't trust them with anything.
Hey, I
Everything
definitely
that they
find their
have has an
social
ulterior
credit
motive.
score pretty creepy. But my brother and I were
Very.
just admitting to the fact that instead of buying the expensive Bluetooth earbuds, we both bought these cheap $50 Chinese knockoff versions
Mm-hmm.
instead. RL, what do you think?
Yeah, I got into this space in the beginning. I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I'll just say it right now. So I couldn't care less which government embraces it and which doesn't,
Right.
other than the fact that it's going to force the hand of the other ones, like I mentioned earlier, to get in and inevitably help us all. So I think this is all about, Bitcoin to me symbolizes the separation of state and money. So
Mm-hmm.
this isn't any part of any. I don't think we should look at it like any certain state's going to co-opt this, because they can't. But yeah, so I look at it as, let's embrace the competition, and the best money will come in regards to the altcoins and states. I mean, if we want to build things, we need these big governments to get on board. So I think this is actually good news, in my opinion.
Good news indeed. All right, final word, CB, as we wrap up here. What's your final word today?
As I've stated at the beginning, I think we built a bottom at 7,400, and clear skies going forward here. I think all-time highs should be hit sometime in 2020, probably leading up to the halving. I think the halving will not have as big of an impact as it has in the past. As if you look at the halvings, previous halvings, each one sequentially makes the price of Bitcoin go up less. So the first one I think was 2.6x. The second one was maybe 1.7, 1.8x. And I think this one will be maybe 1.5. So, 50% move from wherever the market starts to really try to base or price that halving in. So I think in January, we'll start to see the move up. So wherever we are in January will be a 50% move from there up until the halving.
And then a logical pullback after that.
Yeah,
Ernie?
absolutely.
Well, I think that there's about a 60% chance that we'll pop up to the next level of what I call value, and that's probably right around the 10,000 area. But I think for the time being, we're going to stay here, and we're going to experience a lot more volatility going back and forth. I don't know if we've hit a bottom or not, and every time somebody tells me that it can't go this low, or it can't go this high, those type of platitudes are broken on a daily basis, and so I've given up on making long-term predictions. Other than to say that I believe that Bitcoin will follow along its long-term regression best fit line. If you take a long-term regression line from the very beginning of Bitcoin's birth to the present day, it is almost it's about $2,000, maybe $1,500 above that line. I think by 2022, the current price that we're at is probably in line with that line. So that's where I think we're going. I think that we're going to be basically skirting around that long-term regression line, along with more bubbles and more crashes and on and on and on. And we'll just keep on following that straight path.
RL, your final word.
I think we're actually going to head into like 5 figures here shortly. I'm not giving any sort of date or anything, but then I think we'll build up over the next few months into early next year, 2020. And we're going to see, some more of these like 20-30% dips where everybody gets shaken out, all the new money gets shaken out, everybody starts panicking while the whales accumulate more and more Bitcoin on our way to 65,000. That's what I'm thinking. So, but I do think we'll hit. I stand by my prediction with Ernie Wednesday night that in the next, let's see, it'll be like 177 days now, we will see. We're going to break that 19,700 or whatever it was, 19,700 all-time high. I
just want to say that I don't discount what you're saying. Right? I think that it's extremely possible, and in fact, I think it's even possible that we pop up to 100,000 and then come back down again.
We could, yeah. So, I think 65 is really that's not my that's sort of a small. It's not as high as I think it can go.
But what's your time frame on that, Ariel? It's all about time frame when you say those numbers.
In the next 100 weeks. I'm not. I think this bull market's going to last probably around another, 100 weeks. I think we're going to be in this for a while. So that's why I don't tend to get too worried about this. I mean, we just saw a 40-something% reversal in the last 2 months or 2.5 months or whatever that was. I really think that this is just like I said the other day, though, we saw, this is like one of the few, this is the most we've ever seen reversed in a bull market. So that really was like, that should have worried people more than, typically it would, but it didn't faze me too much. I think this is definitely a bull market. So new all-time high soon, in my opinion. But as I said earlier, I'm not your financial advisor, so we'll have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah, everything on KF is just our opinion. It's not a recommendation to buy anything. People know that we're a financial counseling and education channel. What was the football coach who said put your name on it? Herman, I can't remember. There's a famous clip. Put your name on it, be a man. So RL and I were going over some figures. I see 76,000 as possible in the next 100 weeks. We'll see. We'll go back and revisit this if I'm right. If I'm wrong, we'll never talk about it again.
That's yeah. I saying, man, that's so hard. 100 weeks. I would say about 30,000, 35,000, 30,000, somewhere around there.
All right, so 100 weeks from now, that's 2 years. That would bring us out to 2022. According to my prediction, it's very possible that we could do another bubble since in that time frame. In fact, I think it's likely. I'm saying maybe 10,000.
10.
Yeah.
It's good to have the parity.
Wow, I love it. All right,
but listen. I'm also saying that it's very possible that within that time we go up to 60, 65, 100.
I'm just laughing because I was just expecting him to say like 100,000, a million. He's like,
oh no, but I did 10, say 000.
That. Well, hey, in Ernie's defense, I've got a similar,
it just caught me off guard.
That's similar number here after it goes to 75. I got it falling back down to 11. I mean, that would just be if it repeated what it's done in previous bubbles.
I don't disagree with Ernie. I'm not saying it's going to go to 65 to 100K and then just stay there forever. That's not how this works. There's going to be a massive sell-off once we reach that point. It's going to be another 90% drop. So what he's saying is realistic. We could be at $10,000, but I think 100 weeks from now will be around that point where the sell-off.
You guys got to remember though, law of large numbers. So percentage-wise, yes. 90% from last all-time high, but at $100,000, you have a lot more money in the industry, in the markets. So law of large numbers, we probably won't see a 90% retracement if we get to 100,000. And that's just my opinion.
I think that it's much more likely that we will see a 90% retracement if we get to 100,000, because when you start looking at the implications of that from an energy usage point of view, a regulatory point of view, the types of systems that may or may not be developed from there that are volatile, I think, and also depending on the geopolitical situation and the regulatory situation, I think that it's going to be far more volatile in that period. And so I think it's definitely capable of going down 90%. But I'm just saying that I think that the long-term trajectory is along the long-term regression line. And if you take it from day one, from 2009 to today, it is just a little bit above where it should be. And if you extend it out 2 years, it gets up to about 10,000.
All right.
That's just where it is. That's where it's been following. And it's been
I like I said, I was only laughing because I thought you were going to say $1 million or something like that. And you came with 10,000. It could go to 10,000. I don't know. I mean, 35. I've said 30,000, not too far from 10,000.
CB, I'm not discounting the fact that it could go to $1 million. It could in one day jump from 30,000 to $1 million, and then the next day drop down back to say 30 or 50,000.
See,
that's the nature of a bubble.
Yeah, but my thing is the further we go up in price, nominal price in Bitcoin, the more the less volatile we should get.
Right.
That's kind of my philosophy on it. So as we get to a $100,000, $500,000 Bitcoin, if that even happens, I don't necessarily see $1 million Bitcoin when I say that, maybe in a shice dollar that we no longer use. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be priced in a dollar that we don't use anymore. Yeah, okay, $1 million. What does that mean? We don't use that currency anymore. Whatever the going currency is that's flowing around, I don't see it being priced at $1 million, but we'll see.
All right. Well, hey, let's do this again.
Absolutely.
It doesn't end here. This is a work in process.
The diversity of opinion is good.
It absolutely is. I love it.
So, like I was
Wow, wasn't that a great episode? Great discussion with those guys, smart individuals. Let me know your thoughts about this video. Any questions, drop them in the comments below. #AskCB, and I'll answer those on my episodes. Getting ready to do one actually in a couple hours, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to Kennedy Finance as well. Great content over there. It's your boy Crypto Blood. I'm out of here. Holla!